Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of QuestScape. Today we are tackling a really fucking horrible quest called Rag and Bone Man. Easily my least favorite quest I've done in Runescape yet. So this is probably going to be a video of mostly just shitting. There's a few good things, but they're few and far between. To start the quest, you talk to the odd old man kind of northeast of Varrock, and this is one of the biggest changes of the quest is just the area that he's in and his own character model. They look a lot better in RuneScape 3. In old school, I could barely even tell what he was carrying on his back, but in RuneScape 3, obviously, it's a bag of bones. The area as a whole is a lot spookier in RuneScape 3, and the audio track that plays in this area I think is just a little bit more appropriate for the tone that it's trying to set. The opening dialogue with the odd old man is definitely the other highlight of the quest. He's pretty funny. He's definitely odd, but in a charming kind of way. I'm curious what's on his back, because it just seems to be talking to him, telling him what to say. But by the end of the quest, it's still not revealed what that thing actually is, so hopefully I'll get to discover what that is later on in the game. He basically just asks you to go collect bones throughout the world of various different creatures because he wants to complete his collection for some reason. He claims he's an archaeologist working at the Varrock Museum, but I'm kind of doubting him for some reason. And that is literally the end of the good things about this quest. Everything from this point on, it just sucked complete ass. It's just a glorified fetch quest at this point. You gotta go to a whole bunch of different places in the world, and I'll do some kind of time-lapse compilation of that for the video. It's just boring. You know, there's only a couple areas that are even remotely unique that I haven't really been to before. It's for the most part just going to places that I've been to 100 times before, so it's just really not that interesting. Before you go collect the bones, though, you need to go get vinegar from a wine merchant in Drenyar Village. At first, he doesn't want to sell it to you because he's offended that you would even think that he sells vinegar, but as soon as you tell him that you're working for the odd old man, he kind of changes his tune a little bit. So there's some kind of underground conspiracy going on in the RuneScape world with collecting bones. I'm a little concerned. There's a small difference here between old school and RuneScape 3. In old school, you have to manually put all the vinegar into pots, but in RuneScape 3, it brings up the kind of cooking interface, and you can do it automatically all in one go. So there's a little less clicking in the RuneScape 3 version, which I appreciate. Now that we have the vinegar, it's time to go collect all the random bone pieces you need. The first one's on Karumja. That's where I killed a monkey to be able to get their monkey paw. I felt like a psychopath during this part of the quest. I was like hunting monkeys through the jungle. Something just didn't feel super right about it. Then I went to Lumbridge to kill a goblin to be able to get its skull. And around the same area I was able to kill a giant rat to fulfill that requirement. The next one was a little bit more frustrating. It was to kill a big frog. Apparently, though, you can't just kill any big frog. It has to be the one specifically inside of the Lumbridge Swamp dungeon area. So that was a little stupid. You know, you had to go out of your way to be able to get a lantern and everything to traverse that area. That whole cave has been changed a lot between Old School and RuneScape 3. In Old School, you have to have a light source, a covered light source, and you have to use a rope on the entrance to even be able to get to it in the first place. In RuneScape 3, however, you don't have to climb down anything anymore, so you don't need a rope for it. And the dungeon just has had a lot of atmospheric changes. I think that's another one that looks a lot better in RuneScape 3 than it used to. Then I went to this sheep pen in a little bit north of Lumbridge in order to kill a ram. And it really struck me how different this area is compared to the RuneScape 3 version. In old school, you know, it's what we know and love, just the small little pen. But in RuneScape 3, the whole pen position's been switched around. The building's in a little bit different of an area. The pen doesn't have a gate anymore. You just have to jump over the fence to get inside of it. So some interesting changes. I'm curious why those changes happened. Up next was a unicorn, and this is one of the ones I felt particularly bad about killing and felt psychopathic again. Just felt like I was hunting it down in just a not very nice way. After that was a bear, And last but not least, a giant bat, which I did a little bit north of our dome. Now we gotta go back to the odd old man and prepare his bones for him. To do this, we gotta put the bones in a vinegar-soaked pot, and then put them over a specific pot holder that's right outside of his home. You then put logs underneath it and boil away the vinegar to make a perfectly clean looking bone for our odd old friend. There's a minor change here in RuneScape 3. In old school you have to manually click on every step, so you gotta click the logs to put them underneath the holder, then you gotta click the pot and put that on top of the fireplace. And then you gotta click the tinderbox again to light the fire. In RuneScape 3, you don't have to click each one of those from your inventory. It gives you just an auto option when you hover your mouse over the pot. So it's a little bit faster in RuneScape 3. The wait time for waiting for it to boil is the same, which let me tell you is a really fucking long time. You just sit here doing nothing for a good few minutes. But I guess it's streamlined a little in RuneScape 3. Once you finish up your bones, though, it's time to give them back to the odd old man. He doesn't really offer much of an explanation as to why you did this, and that's the end of the quest. No particularly good rewards, just a little bit of prayer and cooking XP. After you finish this quest, you can look back on his house, and there's a wish list there that has a bunch of other bones that he wants you to bring him. One little nitpicky difference between Old School and RuneScape 3 is that there's 2 wish lists that say the same thing in RuneScape 3, but there's only one in Old School. And that's the last change that I noticed for this quest. Overall, fucking horrible quest. It's just a fetch quest, nothing more. The most interesting bits were just like the few minutes of opening dialogue. Overall, I'd probably give this quest a 3 out of 10. Easily the worst one I've played yet. Hopefully we're going to be going onwards to better things. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your day.